I'm sitting in my car in the parking garage right now. Hands are shaking, camera bags in my lap. I can't make myself go back inside. You know what's funny? They had a priest on set for the original Exorcism film. The set caught fire. 3 crew members were dead within a year of wrap. Everyone wrote it off as a coincidence. This new production, same story, different cast, different building, but something followed the material. Because since day one, every single person on that set has looked directly into my lens. Not the A-cam, mine. Even when I'm not recording, and I need to tell you what she whispered. Day 1, the first whisper. It was a cathedral location, not a soundstage dressed to look like one, an actual condemned cathedral on the edge of the city. Rented out because the production designer said the bones of the palace would read on camera. Cold in a way that didn't make sense for the season. The kind of cold that sits in your chest. There were maybe 40 people on crew that night. Night shoot. Starting at 9, scheduled through to 4 a.m. My job as B camera operator is simple. Stay invisible, watch everything, keep rolling. I'm the camera nobody looks at directly. I'm the eye in the corner of the room. Before we even rolled the first take, the production designer pulled me into a side conversation near the monitor cart. Told me the build team had found a sealed basement under the nave floor during location prep. Condemned, bricked up from the inside. They left it alone. Then a grip nearby laughed and said 3 people from the original Exorcism film production never made it to the 1-year anniversary of the wrap date. He said it like a fun fact. Nobody laughed back. We started shooting around 10. The first setup was the bedroom possession scene. The actress in the bed, lighting rigged low and red, the kind of scene you've seen in every movie like this. She was good, committed, the kind of performer who stays in character between takes and doesn't make eye contact with the crew. Standard. Third take in, she stopped. Not a flub, not a missed line, a full stop. Like someone had cut the power to her. She sat up in the bed, turned her head, and looked straight into my lens. Not toward the A-cam, mine. The B-cam, tucked into the corner, barely lit, the one nobody ever looks at. She was still in character. Voice low, completely flat, no affect. And she leaned toward the boom mic and said my childhood home address. The full address, the house that burned down when I was 9 years old. The one I'd never brought up to anyone on this production. I told myself it was a coincidence. People mishear lines and fill in sounds that feel familiar. I logged the time code, flagged the take as unusable, and kept my mouth shut for the rest of the shoot. But that night, back in the production office, I pulled up the proxy file to check the flag. The metadata said the take ran 6 minutes, 6 seconds, 6 milliseconds. My monitor had shown 3 minutes. I checked the master log. The script supervisor had the same time I did. The file disagreed. I drove home alone, headset still around my neck out of habit, the way you forget to take off a jacket. The drive was quiet, no traffic, just the sound of the road and the hiss of the dead channel in my left ear. Then the hiss changed. It shaped into something, the shape of my name. But the syllables were in the wrong order, running backward. I pulled over. I sat there. I told myself one strange day doesn't mean anything. That tired people hear patterns in static. That metadata corrupts. That addresses are just numbers. I went back the next day. Day 2, the contagion. The actress was fine. That was the first thing I noticed when I walked onto the set the next morning. She was standing near the craft services table, laughing at something on her phone, coffee in hand, completely normal. Whatever had moved through her the night before had moved on. It had moved to him. The lead actor was already in the possession rig when I arrived. Harness fitted, marks taped, blocking rehearsed. But something was wrong with the way he was standing. Pupils too wide for the lighting, moving about a half second behind every cue. The first AD kept asking if he needed a minute. He kept saying no in a voice that didn't sound like a no. We ran a rehearsal take around noon. No sound, no lighting changes, just the director walking the blocking. The actor hit his first mark, hit his second, got 3 lines in, and then stopped. He turned to my camera and he said, word for word, the thought I'd had in the car on the way to the set that morning. Not the general shape of it, the actual sentence, the exact phrasing I'd used inside my own head. He said it like a line reading, flat. Then he blinked and asked the director where they were in the scene. Nobody else on set reacted. I don't think anyone else heard it. The director pulled me aside 20 minutes later. I thought he was going to ask me to check a frame. Instead, he told me quietly that the actor had called him at 3 a.m. from the set location. Not from home, from here. He'd been inside the cathedral in the middle of the night, alone, and he'd called the director and read out a list of names. The director didn't know most of them, but one of them was mine. I didn't say anything. I walked back to my camera and I stayed there. An hour later, during a makeup touch-up between setups, the makeup artist grabbed my arm. Not casually. Her eyes were wet and her hands were shaking, and she told me, in a voice just above a whisper, about the money I took from my brother when I was 17. $240 from an envelope in his dresser drawer. Something I've carried for years without ever saying it out loud to anyone. She knew the amount. She said it like she was confessing her own sin, not mine. I pulled back my arm. I put the viewfinder to my eye. I stayed behind the camera for the rest of the afternoon because it was the only thing that felt like a barrier between me and whatever was moving through the people on that set. That's when I noticed the sound. My headset started picking up a second audio channel that wasn't anywhere on the production feed. A low, rhythmic pulse underneath the standard mix. Not music, not interference, something closer to a chant. The same 4 syllables cycling over and over. It was syncing perfectly to the breathing of the actors on my monitor. The director called an early wrap, said the principals were unwell, and everyone filed out quietly. Single file through the same exit. Not looking at phones, not talking, not breaking off into the usual small groups. Just moving in one direction together like water finding a drain. I checked my proxy files before I left. 3 clips from the day had been overwritten. The new footage on each one showed me sleeping in my apartment, shot from an angle above and to the left of my bed, an angle no camera I own could produce. The card was sealed. It'd been in my camera the entire day. Day 3, the ritual. I knew I should have quit, but the footage on that card was evidence of something real, something I couldn't explain away, and I needed to know what it was before I could walk away from it. So I went back. The cathedral felt smaller. Not visually, the walls were in the same place, the ceiling was the same height, but the space had compressed somehow. The lighting rigs had been repositioned overnight. Nobody on the crew seemed to notice or care, but I noticed. They were all angled inward now. The full cast was already there when I walked in. Every principal, every day player, every featured extra. None of them were running lines. They were standing in a loose circle near the center of the room. Eyes open, completely still, arms at their sides. And the moment I stepped through the door, every single one of them turned to look at me. Not toward the door, at me. All at once, like they'd been waiting for the specific sound of my footsteps. The director called action. What followed didn't look like a scene. The actors moved through blocking I'd never seen in any version of the script, and the words coming out of their mouths weren't lines. They were reciting my life. Specific, dated, chronological, starting from something I did when I was 6 years old that I hadn't thought about in decades. Moving forward year by year. The afternoon I lied to a priest in confession because the truth felt too heavy. Things I'd never said to another person. Things I barely admitted to myself. They said all of it out loud, calmly, in the order it happened. That's when it landed. The Latin phrases scattered through the dialogue weren't invented for the screenplay. The specific cadence, the call and response structure, the way the language kept circling back to the same root phrase, it matched a real exorcism rite. Not loosely, precisely. And it had been building across all 3 days of filming. Each scene, a layer of something larger. Using the camera, using my camera, as the vessel the whole ritual was pointed at. I pulled my card. I grabbed my bag and I ran. The PA by the stage door looked up as I passed and said the last line of the script, word for word. Then the security guard at the lot exit said it. Then a woman walking her dog on a street outside said it without looking up from the pavement. The Uber driver was already waiting at the curb, and he didn't speak the entire ride. Didn't look at me in the mirror, just drove. At a red light, he turned around slowly and told me the one thing that lives only in my own head. Not a secret someone could piece together, a thought. A specific, private thought that has never left my skull. He turned back to the road when the light changed. We didn't speak again. The cliffhanger. I got home. I locked the door. I put the chain on and sat down on the floor with my back against the wall and the camera bag in front of me, and I just breathed for a while. Then I opened my laptop to back up the footage. Muscle memory. Something to do with my hands. I didn't even have the cable out yet when the files started uploading on their own. My smart home display flickered on. The front door camera feed came up automatically, showing the hallway outside my apartment. Empty, normal, except the timestamp in the corner was 47 minutes ahead of my current time. I watched it. I don't know why I watched it. I sat there and I watched the feed count up toward that timestamp. And when it hit the mark, my front door opened from the inside, and I walked out into the hallway. Or something wearing my face did. It stopped, looked directly at the hallway camera, and smiled. I checked my phone. 14 missed calls from the lead actress, all between 3 a.m. and 3:07 a.m. the previous night, while I was asleep, while something was in my apartment filming me from an angle that shouldn't exist. Then the camera bag moved. Not shifted, not slid. It moved. I opened it. The camera was on. Red light, steady and solid. No flicker. I turned the monitor around, and the feed wasn't showing my apartment. It was showing the inside of the cathedral. Live, dark, empty, except for one figure standing exactly at the center mark where the possession scene had filmed across 3 days, facing away from the lens, wearing my jacket, standing completely still. My headset crackled. One short burst of static. Then a voice came through, calm and low. It said my name, the way you say someone's name when you already know exactly where they are. Then it said the one thing I never told anyone, not a soul. The thing I did that I never once spoken out loud. It said it like a question. Then the red light kept blinking. You're still on the floor, headset on, camera still recording, and somewhere between running from that cathedral and sitting here with you right now, you've realized you never actually stopped filming. The footage is real. It's on the card. It's already uploading. And whatever came through that lens across 3 full days came straight through with it. That's the part I keep sitting with. The day 3 footage goes up next week. All of it. Completely uncut. Subscribe so you're there the moment it drops. Because based on everything that's already happened, I don't think it stays up for long.